Step one, wake up, really gonna rise with the sun. Step two, get some good, some food in you. Step three, think real hard about what you wanna be. Step four, everybody just do your thing.
Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 Yo, set your affirmations, aspirations. I got shit to do, the aftermath of preparation. Good food, good mood, blood in circulation. One step at a time, yeah, that's how you make it. Set a goal you control and the steps you take them. I try to pick one thought, have some concentration. And if I make a mistake, it's called education. I try to do this every day, call it replication. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 So life ain't easy, yo, I think there's a reason though. Ups and downs, just like every different season, yo. Sometimes I'm high, other times I'm barely breathing, though. I always gotta fight and hide from the demons, yo. Negative thoughts are poison, they rot. Head full of flies, so here come the clouds. They'll never stop unless I can swap all the bad for the good in my head when I'm lost. Yeah, so I'ma fake it till I make it. Positive thoughts are overtaken, I got patience. One day at a time is how you operate a cadence. A flow, you grow, you show yourself a foundation. Stay away from all the shit that causes temptation. I know that I like to do it cause it's sensation. I live my life in my head like a narration. Don't expect greatness, do my best, man, I'll take it. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 Wake up, today's gonna be a good day.
Wake up, really gonna rise with the sun. Step two, get some good, some food in you. Step three, think real hard about what you wanna be. Step four, everybody just do your thing.
I'm gonna say this loud enough for the people in the back. You know when your life's gonna change? When you stop running back to the things that God is trying to save you from. When you stop pressing rewind on the things that need to be deleted from your life. When you stop hanging on to the things that you know you need to let go of. Let me tell you this, moving on isn't always about knowing where you're going. It's about knowing where you're no longer stand and what you refuse to go back to. Straight up.
Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty Coffee Club.
As you wake up in the morning, you want to find the latest, greatest information about criminal cases and have an intuitive conversation about the suspects associated with these cases. Head over to the Bullhorn Betty channel on YouTube. Get breaking news right here on the Bullhorn Betty channel. Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty Coffee Club. Enjoy your stay and enjoy your day.
Crazy coffee club. I know you guys have missed me. I have missed you guys immensely. Holy crap. I have been struggling. Like my aunt left yesterday. She left, I took her out to breakfast. The whole time she was here, I took her to breakfast and other stuff. We had a beautiful breakfast on the water. One morning yesterday, we went to Perkins, but check this out. I saw a childhood friend. This is the worst part about it. Like this chick practically lived with us. I mean, she practically lived with us. She was one of my BFFs from high school. It was the craziest thing. I never ironed my jeans when I was younger. Never ironed my jeans. Didn't know to iron my jeans. Never put the crease in my jeans until this person stayed with me. And she ironed her jeans. She always had to have a crease in her jeans. Anyways, I go to Perkins. I'm sitting there waiting for my aunt. You know me. I'm on my phone, right? I'm on my phone the entire time I'm there. I'm just, tick, 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 checking that way. Like, what's going on in the world? Oh, we know about Dana. We know about this. We know about that. So I'm trying to decide, well, do I really want to go live and regurgitate the same crap that that everybody else is regurgitating? Do I want to put a spin on it? What do I want to do? Right. So I'm sitting at Perkins. I'm on this phone. And then all of a sudden my aunt gets there. I hop up and bring my aunt to the table, because we were driving separate cars because she was packing up at the house and, getting ready to get on the road to start heading back. And so I hear it's like, hey, Andrew, how you doing? Pop ahead and look at hello there, so-and-so, I'm like, holy crap. As soon as she took our drink order, walked away, I'm like, my aunt's drink order, I had already had mine. I'm like, did you bring me my drink? And she's like, yeah. I'm like, I'm so sorry. I didn't even look up at the waitress. I didn't even look at the name badge. I'm sitting there waiting for my aunt. I'm just sitting, I'm just doing me. I'm not even like, I'm just completely just, I'm at a restaurant. I don't just chilling, right? Chilling. This is a childhood friend that was like my BFF that actually lived with me. Didn't even say hi to her. But anyways, we got connected and I gave her a hug. She looks like she's doing really, really well. Just really happy. It's just funny. I hadn't seen this in like 20 years. I'm too young to even say that number. I'll be honest. I'm way too young to even say that number. But in the grand scheme of things, I'm not. So good morning, Kathy S. The first to say good morning to Bullhorn Betty and clan. Nice to see you, sweetie pie. TCCT Dumpling. She has her own channel and it was fun. I got a chance to pop in and say hi to her. I was, just perusing online and I happened to see a name that I recognized, found out I wasn't even subbed up to her. So I've subbed up to Dumpling. If you guys haven't seen her channel, very nice. I loved it. I love your intro, by the way. I love your intro. And actually it was the inspiration of the background behind my thumbnail. I have to be honest, Dumpling, you were my inspiration today. So anyways, Princess Megan Elsa, good morning. It's nice to see you here. Cranky Pants. Don't worry, Cranky Pants. I know you're in your happy pants. You know why? Because I borrowed your Cranky Pants today. So I know you can't possibly have them. I've got this quitting vaping it's miserable. I am so miserable. I have to be honest. I know you see this beautiful smiling face and you're like, you got to understand there's a few reasons why I don't come live. Okay. And one of them is not feeling well. Right. And another is knowing that it's probably not good to go live. Right. Like you're on edge. It's like, all you need is somebody saying something, right? Just you say something. Go ahead and make my day. So we decided maybe just give a couple days, right? Give it a couple days. I have to be honest with you. I have cheated a little bit. There were a few withdrawal symptoms because I still have I'm not buying another vape. I'm not buying another pod. I'm not buying another battery. But I do have one that has just a little bit, and I used it yesterday. I did. I broke down and used it. But I'm maintaining, and I'm staying true to the quitting. I want to quit. It is my goal. I am going to succeed. I will succeed at anything I put my mind to do. And I am going to be successful at quitting this, and I want to. So today, you're not going to see me vaping online like you're accustomed to. I have really been trying very hard to stick to this regimen, and it's uncomfortable. I have to be honest with you. It's one of the most not near as uncomfortable as going. I remember going from the cigarette to the vape, the actual vape. That was brutal on me. I was utterly. I was probably 100 times more miserable than I am right now. Right now, the misery is doable. I can deal with this misery. I've been through a lot worse misery. As a matter of fact, I've got a friendship that's literally done. Like I've already, like, even with all of this, this quit smoking, and you try to avoid stressful situations. I have completely cut ties with with one of my best friends. Absolutely, completely cut ties with this person, and absolutely. The clarity is everything in this world on YouTube. Clarity is literally everything, and we know it. We're not even going to go there. Ashley Leith, nice to see you. Yay! Just when I couldn't sleep after getting my son back to sleep, he comes in clutch. Well, it's nice to see you, Ashley. Yes, I have been having not only withdrawals from nicotine, but withdrawals from my coffee club. Right? You guys keep the coal that keeps me going. Right? You guys are the coal that keeps me going. Twin Mom T, good morning. Thank you so much. I just want to let you know, I took my aunt out to Waterfront. I didn't buy her ice cream, but I did take her out to a beautiful brunch. Not yesterday, but the morning before yesterday. What day would that be? Was that Tuesday? What was today? What's today? Thursday? Today's Friday. Holy crap. My aunt stayed longer than I had expected. I was only, and it's crazy because she got the whole date wrong. So it's like, Tuesday I was absolutely slammed. And here she's wanting me to come in from having just a slam day and go out to dinner in St. Pete when I go to bed at like 8:30. Like, she didn't even walk in the door until almost 10 o'clock. That night. There's no way I would have been able to. So I ended up not being able to go to dinner with my cousins and my aunt. But that's okay. And then the next day she had some things going on. So we did get to spend some time with each other. I was just hoping to do a little bit more with her, I guess is what you could say. But hey, we got to break bread, right? I haven't broke bread with my aunt in almost a year. So it was just a wonderful visit. And she even told me, she's like, hey, if you go on these trips and you just need somebody to tag along with you, just let me know. I'm thinking, that's not a bad idea. That's not a bad idea, right? But I don't think she could, our family, as we age, our family ages, right? And as many of you know, I'm one of those, like, I got to get in and I got to get there, right? So I don't lollygag, right? I don't lollygag. I plan my thing. I usually, if I'm going to a place, I usually gauge it. So I have 3 stops. By the 3rd stop, I have an hour and I'll be there, right? I gauge my bathroom breaks on my gas consumption in my car. Like, it is a scientific experiment when you go on the road with Bullhorn Betty. We've got it down to a scientific ability here. Like, we plan it. Like, I'm stopping. Okay, I'm gonna stop here at this time. My gas should be about 1/4 of a tank. This will be perfect. I can use the restroom. I can get a gas. But we get there, right? And then once we get there, we can kind of go and relax just for a little bit, and then get to work, right? Because I'm a workaholic. So, Sweetie Pie, it's nice to see you. Southern Grammy Wolf, Cranky Pants. We know Bullhorn Betty stole her pants. Tutti Frutti, nice to see you. Net L Fig, it's nice to see you. Angie says she's number 3. So you guys need to make sure you go out there and give me a thumbs up. Pat Gaines, nice to see you. Sepsis Kill. Max Jones. Alabama Mom of 4. It's nice to see you. Cool Gamer. Tip It Back 88. Sepsis. Did I say good morning to you, Sepsis? If I didn't, good morning. Good morning. Who else do we have? Oh, Mike's in the house. Nice to see you, Mike. My mom ironed my underwear, bras, and pantyhose and towels. I told you were a girl. I knew it. You just told on yourself. I knew it, Mike. I knew it. You just told on yourself. I've been beating myself up, and I'm like, I am surprised Mike even talks to me anymore. I don't know how many times I've called Mike a woman, and here you have pantyhose. Don't tell me you're not. I knew it. Oh my goodness. I knew it. I knew it. Mike's like, oh crap. Sorry. I don't know any moms that iron bras and pantyhose for a boy. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Now I made this big scene. She's like, I'm gonna try to keep that under wraps. Really? You had to go all like that, Betty, right? It is Friday, right? It is Friday. Oh, Jess Samantha, it's lovely to see you. Oh, Sonia, I glossed right over you and Jules. Good morning, Sonia. Good morning. BHB, I can't take the lies in this case. Everyone ran with he's a serial killer. Now he's no connection to Dana Smithers. I know. I get it. But you know what? In all fairness, I kind of believe the Dana Smithers. But I am entertaining other stuff. And there's some other areas that we need to be looking at. Let's think about, you know what? I'm starring you because me and you need to have a conversation, just Samantha, because I think you're going to, I think the light bulb went off for me. The light bulb went off for me, and I want to go through this and I want to get your thoughts on it. So just stick with me. Let me get through these questions. I've starred you. I'm coming back to you because we're going to talk about that very thing because I have a different thought. I have a different thought. When I was quitting, I went straight to vaping. So did I. And it's hard. Quitting vaping is just as hard. You got this. And I'm finding that out. Now, I got to tell you, the withdrawal symptoms, like when I quit the cigarettes and went to the vape, the withdrawal symptoms were excruciating. This is not as bad. It's still pretty miserable, but it's not near. I remember that so vividly. September 2021, we were out there. It was a stressful, hot time. Nobody understood why in the world I would decide to quit right then and there. But it's one of those things that when you're ready, you just do it. This one, like, no different. I've got like 1,000 different things going on in my life. Why would I decide right now to quit vaping, right? It's because there is never a good time. And if you wait for a good time, for life to settle down, for life to get better, I've been doing that for 1.5 years. It hasn't gotten better. It just hasn't. There's no good time for me to quit except the time to quit, right? No matter when you decide to start, you're going to still have life. You're going to still have problems. You're going to but you know what? You got to learn to deal with all that. And I understand that. This is very miserable for me. I've never missed 3 lives in a row. I can't remember the last time, unless I took off for a week or something and had vacation, but I can't remember the last time I decided not to do 3 lives. I mean, you got to understand, for me not to do 3 lives, it does hit my pocket quite a bit financially, because I get a lot of ad revenue that comes off those videos. And so it does, it's one of those things that I felt that I needed to do, to give myself that break. And so it is what it is. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Andrew is quality. Is that you, Andrew? I hope it is. Anyways, hi, nice to see you. I went from cigarettes to vape, 5% down to 2.7 down to 0. The 0% helps on just the habit of not smoking or vaping. The problem is, sorry, I have allergies. The problem is I can't get off the 5%. That's the problem. I've tried to step down to the 3%. It does not work for me. So I have just decided, abstaining is probably going to be the best remedy here. And like I said, I still cheated. I still huffed on my vape like once or twice, maybe a couple times yesterday, just to kind of help with those urges. But I think, somebody thought about gum, and I thought, maybe that would be a good idea, just to get like a nicotine gum to help with those urges when they come up. I just want to get the habit off of my hands. And so that's the problem. I think once I get done with the hand issue, I think it'll be fine. But I'm still, today's much better than it was. The first night was really bad, and the next morning was really bad. So Wednesday night and Thursday morning were awful. Today's Friday, so it's much better, but I struggled a lot yesterday. So but I'm here, right? But I'm here. Good morning, Justin. It's nice to see you, love. Nice to see you. I miss you. I really do. Actually, I probably could use a phone call. Like, I've got a lot of stuff on my chest. Lady O, nice to see you. Today is Maddie Mogan's heavenly birthday. Thank you, Ashley. Just for a moment, I'm going to turn the cameras off. We're going to have just a small moment of silence, 10, 15, 20 seconds to honor Maddie Mogan and her birthday. So everybody bow your heads. Also, please say a prayer while we're giving, honor to Maddie on her heavenly birthday today, her being 22 years old. What a shame. So much she could have accomplished in her life if she was able to live it. So also, in addition to that, please, also have a moment of silence for all the victims' families as well. So let's pray now. Okay. Thank you guys who participated in that. Nice to see you too. Happy to spend my morning with you. Oh, I'm so happy to finally get back here. Oh my gosh. I'm telling you that that today was one of those things where it's just like, I got up. I'm like, okay, I showered last night before I went to bed. I didn't blow dry my hair. I brushed my hair this morning. Everybody's always like, oh my gosh, it's because I got curly hair. I got curly hair. And when I don't blow dry it straight, it's curly hair with humidity in Florida. Get it through your head. So, but I'm up, I'm happy, and I'm here, and I'm even happier. Like, a lot of the thoughts of issues with the nicotine and stuff like that are subsiding. They're subsiding. Linda Lou, nice to see you. Oh, Lord. Struggle is real. It's nice to see you, Allie. 10, good morning. Amalu, I haven't seen you in a while. It's nice to see you, love. It's nice to see you, love. Who else? We Miss Potty Mouth. It's good to see you as well. You quit vaping. Congratulations. Well, today is like I stopped Wednesday. Wednesday was my stop date. And I don't know if I can really count that because I was vaping in the morning. And then I'm like, you know what today is? I was going to wait until the next day. And then I'm like, no, this was my stop date. I need to be disciplined in this. If I'm not going to be disciplined, I'm going to give my way out. Then I'm going to try to give myself a way out the entire time. So I stopped what I was doing. I put a patch on and I just said, today's the day. So that's why by Wednesday evening, I was really feeling the withdrawal symptoms. And then I hid all the vapes, like all the batteries. I made sure that before I stopped, I was like at my last pod. So I'm absolutely bound and determined not to buy another pod. I will not do it. So whatever's left in that pod, that's going to help me with my withdrawal symptoms until I'm kind of over the withdrawal symptoms. I don't think I'll ever quite be over the withdrawal symptoms until I'm fully quit. But I'm making the step in the right direction. I'm tired of vaping. It's not even just the vaping. The vaping, I think I could deal with. It doesn't smell. It's not offensive. It doesn't really bother anybody. It's just when I lose my vape, you've seen me, Justin. You found one of the vapes that I lost. Remember? Like I will literally stop the show. Stop. Let's go. I got to go to the next convenience store. Like it is that bad. And it's like, it frustrates the crap out of me. And I'm the one doing it. I can't imagine how it is being around me when I'm like that, right? So that was one of the reasons why I never quit to begin with, is because I didn't want to go through the withdrawals, the negativity, the attitude, that comes with breaking a habit. But it's like at this point, I really don't care. If you're offended by me, by my attitude, stay away from me while I'm quitting. That's your easiest solution to it. Just stay away, right? This too shall pass and we can be BFFs another day, right? But not while I'm trying to quit. Don't be poking the bear, right? Don't be poking the bear. Good morning, the real me too. It's nice to see you. I smoke so heavy when I first wake up that my morning coffee, no vape for me, Marlboro menthol, hundreds all day. Yeah. I wasn't a menthol smoker until I went to the vape, but we're going to quit. It's, even the vape, I found that the vape is it's much healthier than the smoking. I stopped coughing. A lot of health benefits came by my change, but I've been doing it since Gabby Petito. When I stopped and went to the vape, it was there was a means to the end. And I lost track and lost focus. And 2 years later, I'm still doing the same thing that I wanted to quit. So today is the day. So we're going to continue to go through this. I know for at least next week or two, it's still going to be having some problems, but they do make this whole package and you don't even have to think about it. That's why I got it. Because if I had to buy the patches, I would continue to buy the 21 milligrams. So I bought this entire package right here and it has all 3 steps in it. And I figured this is the best way for me. I don't know about other people, but I know myself. And I know that I will go, if I just got 21 milligrams and I'm supposed to step down all by myself, I will never step down. I prove it. So this is what I've chosen to do. It's got all of them there, and I'm just going to have to deal. So if I'm a little edgy for the next 56 days, you guys are supposed to be my friends, so deal with it. Deal with it. Maddie Down, it's nice to see you. Supercell Chasing, Tashi, it's nice to see you. Stacy Love, it's nice to see you as well. When I go someplace that don't allow smoking, it doesn't bother me. But soon as I get in the car, I have to have one. It does still bother me about it because at the end of the day, any business has about a 50-50 ratio. That means that 50% of their patrons are most likely smokers and 50% are probably not. Now, granted, there is a lot of people in this world that are that are doing better. People are realizing the health risks of smoking, and it does concern a lot of people. So they're going to try other things to quit to make themselves a little healthier because everybody realizes it's an addiction that some people enjoy doing. Some people enjoy the taste of a cigarette with their coffee. That was not really mine. I never really cared for the cigarette smell or the cigarette, really just the smell. And, and I smoked for a really long time. I'm happy to finally kind of kick the habit, but I still, in all fairness, I'm a fair person. So I think it's unfair that you're looking at one of your patrons, section of patrons, but not the other. And I think that there's always, I truly believe no matter what, there's always a happy balance that you can prescribe to, that everybody can live with. I'm really, disappointed in airports and things like that. Like, I understand whether or not you want to promote health. The bottom line is you're being disrespectful to a section of your customers. And by you forcing somebody that like it's an addiction. You have, like, for alcohol addictions, you have all those bars in those airports for all the people that have an alcohol addiction. What you don't have is a smoking section for the people. And I'm sorry, I have never seen anybody get more unruly than somebody that needs to have a cigarette. To be honest with you, the attitudes and everything like that could be way, way down if they just respected all their customers and all their passengers, and not just their elite few that, don't have these problems or are just hoity-toity and just have alcohol problems. As long as they have alcohol problems, you're okay in an airport. They'll take care of you, but don't have a cigarette problem in an airport. There's no room for you to be there. The best thing I can tell you, if you're flying, get a vape and vape in a bathroom. Seriously. If that's that, I mean, as long as you're not being not being blatant with it, they won't say shit. They'd rather you be vaping in a bathroom than go off on one of their employees. Trust me. I want to quit smoking, but my significant other keeps buying cigarettes every time we're out. Yeah, that's going to be hard. I don't know how you would deal with that. The good news is, like, my ex-husband, he wasn't a smoker. He didn't smoke cigarettes or anything like that. So it's like, whatever. But yeah, he didn't buy any type of cigarettes. So, I mean, he'd buy mine. He would always make sure I was stocked. He didn't want to have to deal with that attitude. What's funny is I haven't heard from my ex-husband in forever. I haven't seen him, haven't heard from him. I think he came over here like 6, 7, maybe 8 months ago. I can't remember. Whenever Ian happened, the hurricane, he just wanted to make sure I was doing okay. And he came over and he's like, oh, yeah, I'll help you. I got Tuesdays off. And I'm like, sure, just come on over. I said, there's plenty of work here. I'm not going to turn help away, right? I tell him that, right? Never hear from him again. It's like, oh, the ex-wife wants to work. Let me find something to do. Right? So, anyways, my aunt comes here and she's like, so, how's Vince doing? Have you heard from him? Da, 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 da. I'm like, no, I haven't seen him or heard from him. She's like, he's not bothering you or anything? I said, no, he never really did bother me. I mean, our marriage is probably as cordial could get. Like, I don't think anybody, I don't know. Our divorce was so amicable. It was like, I don't know how to explain it. I think by the time we were divorced, I mean, we had already had our years and years of fights prior to. We had already been, we were good. I mean, we were in a good spot. We were just not in love anymore, but we've always maintained friendship. But anyway, she's asking me about it. I'm like, no, I haven't seen him in forever. I said, he must be happy in life. I said, usually the only time I hear from him is when, his life is falling apart, or he just needs to run away from home or something like that. And then he'll come over and piddle around the house, whatever. But I haven't heard from him in months. And so my aunt and I were leaving. And of course, my neighbor, we've lived next to each other for a decade. So he knows my entire family. I mean, we've had so many parties here, Thanksgivings and stuff like that, where everybody comes over. So he knows my aunt. He knows my aunt by name. He knows my aunt. Just walks up to her and gives her a hug. How you doing, lady? Blah, blah, blah. And so he's like, you'll never believe who came over this morning. And I'm like, who? And he's like, your ex. Why? He got a brand new motorcycle. I'm like, what? And we're like, wait a minute. I remember hearing a motorcycle this morning. And he's like, yeah, he came over. And I just thought, how ironic. I haven't heard from this guy in like for freaking ever. And then all of a sudden my aunt comes over, asks about him. Like, he must have like his spidey senses or something. But I haven't, like, don't say his name anymore. My aunt must be doing the, like, don't say his name anymore. You're calling him. You're subconsciously calling him. So anyways, he did get a brand new motorcycle. And it was funny because he took me, I don't know. And this is a funny story. And then we're going to get on with our show. But this is a funny story in itself. So he's always wanted he's a motorcycle. He's a motorhead. He's a motorcycle junkie, enthusiast, whatever. And, we were so broke, but he wanted a motorcycle. He wanted a motorcycle. And I'm like, okay. So we saved and saved and saved. And we saved like $2,500. And he got this motorcycle, and the guy says, oh, you only need this done to the motorcycle, and it'll be perfect. And I'm like, Vince, you're never going to have this bike up and running, right? Oh, no, he says it's this. I want this bike. Oh, okay. So anyways, long story short, long story longer, right? I'm like, well, you got a bike. I said, take me for a ride, right? Oh, yeah, it's a Harley. So it means he spent way too much money on it. Right. So Anyway, so I'm like, well, what the hell? Take me for a ride on your bike. I said, I don't like the fact it doesn't have a backrest. I'm a backrest type of biker. Like I don't like having to hold on to somebody. When I'm on a bike, I like to sit back and enjoy the ride, right? I don't want to be up on somebody being terrified like my butt is about to fall off the back of this bike. I like to have a backrest, period. I'm a backrest type of bike rider, okay, period. And so I'm like, okay. So now I'm having to be wrapped around him. And so we're driving down the road, and I'm telling you, it's been a long time since I've been on the back of a motorcycle. And my nerves just start getting me. My anxiety starts going through the roof. I'm watching literally like a hawk every single car that pulls in front of us. And I'm like, oh my God. And I just finally thought, like, don't take me too far away from the house. I said, my anxiety is going through the roof. I said, I'm just not a bike rider anymore. I can't do this. I have this fear of dying on a motorcycle. And I said, and after 10 years and a divorce, the last person I want to die with is you. Take me But the joke of this whole thing is finally, after 10 years, 3 motorcycles now, and a divorce, he finally got me on the back of his motorcycle. That is a wrap. No. I know, but I don't have a problem being on the back. I love motorcycle riding. It's just the rain was coming. There was just something in me that day. I just could not. I'm just like, I can't do it today. I can't. My nerves are in a ball. I feel like I'm going to die on this motorcycle. He's driving very well. I mean, Vince doesn't screw around on motorcycles. He's not one of those crazy people that's got to, go 100 miles an hour down the interstate. He's a very safe driver. He understands that it is a privilege to be on a motorcycle, and he does not want to be cleaned up on the road. You know what I'm saying? So he's a very responsible motorcycle driver, which most motorcycle riders are responsible. But we also lost our son-in-law, right? So on a motorcycle. So I just, and I really haven't been on too many motorcycles since our son-in-law had lost his life. So I still have, I guess, a kind of PTSD in a sense. I just have anxiety now when it comes to that. So, but long story short, it was fun, right? I got my 5 minutes on the back of the motorcycle after 10 years. It was so funny. When we had his other motorcycle, I'm like, he walks the motorcycle more than he rides it. That was the joke between me and my neighbor, the one that watches the house when I'm out. That was the running joke. Like, he walks the motorcycle more than he rides it. So yeah, I never got on the back of that motorcycle because it kept breaking down. Like, he'd get a half a mile away, and I have to go pick him up he'd call me, and I have to go get the pickup and go pick him up. Right. So, well, Florida's a little weird. So yes, you're required to have, my understanding is with this, you're required to have a helmet on in the state of Florida unless you have insurance on your bike. So if you have collision insurance on your bike or whatever kind of insurance on your bike, you're not required to have a helmet. That's why you see some people with helmets in Florida and some people that don't have helmets in Florida, because when it comes to motorcycles, you're not required under Florida law to have insurance on it. So it can go both. At least that's my understanding. I don't know. I'm not, I don't own a motorcycle. I've just rode on the back of motorcycles my entire life. I've never really drove one. So I don't know. But it's been nice. We've already killed about 40 minutes telling that story. It's nice to see everybody here in the chat. So let's just kind of get started a little bit about Bryan Kohberger and how I kind of feel about the situation. I know there's been a lot coming out about this Dana Smithers. There are a few things that I want you guys to know, and this is not to victim shame this woman at all or anything. It's just to give you guys a perspective of other things that might have happened with Dana Smithers. I don't believe that Bryan Kohberger is responsible for this woman. And there's a few reasons why I don't believe he's responsible. Do I believe that he's committed other crimes prior to the 4 university deaths? I do. So I'm there with you guys when it comes to, did he possibly do these things to other people? I do believe that there is crimes in his wake. that he has not been identified for, and things of that nature. But we're going to get into that a little bit more, and I'm going to address just Samantha's comment as we get into that. But I do actually, we'll get back to this. Let me go ahead and put you back up here. So just Samantha is talking about, I can't take the lies in the case. Everyone ran with he's a serial killer to now he's no connection to Dana Smithers. Now, I don't think there's a couple things that went on with Dana Smithers' case that I would really like. His leather. Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing. Okay, I see you in here too. Good morning, Love Bug. Good morning. It's nice to see you. So I don't believe, here's what, when law enforcement came out about the Idaho 4 and all the people that they've excluded, there were a lot of people that didn't believe them. And, hindsight's 2020. We're here now, and we now know that law enforcement came out, told the public that these people were not suspects. And we did, and a lot of, I don't want to say we, because I did believe them. And we here on the Bullhorn Betty channel listened to law enforcement and constantly stated that over and over again on every live, that these kids have been fully excluded. And so law enforcement is once again coming out and saying, look, Bryan Kohberger is not responsible for this crime. And so I believe that Bryan Kohberger isn't responsible for that crime. We know that Bryan was in the area when she disappeared. There are a few things about this Dana Smithers that people have forgotten about. That was stated by her sister. Her sister loves her, and her sister wanted to find her, but her sister was honest up front about Dana. First of all, Dana, although she was clean at the time, or at least to her family's liking, she did have a chemical dependency issue at some point in her life, and that is a real possibility of a relapse. And her sister acknowledged that at the time she disappeared in May. She stated in an article she's not going to paint her sister as a perfect angel. She knows her sister's not, but her sister was doing really, really well, and her sister's children were her world. That was one thing, and that may play into one, where she was located or why she was there. It sounded like this particular day, Dana was also with her ex and spent time with her ex. Is that relevant or important? I don't know. But we do know if somebody has been injured or hurt, it's typically by somebody that they know personally. So there is that angle. There is also another angle that we can look at. When you are an addict, you kind of have places that you go to use that nobody thinks about, that only you know, so you can be alone and deal with all your paranoias and everything without anybody being around. Also, when you deal with significant drug issues, you're also dealing with a level of willing to do something for money to get those, which could also identify the area in which she was. And then finally, we have to look at somebody hurting her and dumping her in that area. So there are a lot of things that are going on in her case that we really just don't have enough information about to even identify Bryan Kohberger as a suspect in this case. I mean, other than the fact that he was in and around the area, that could be a lot. Also, the fact that there was a street festival or something to that effect going on in the area that night, where a number of people could have seen her. But the one thing that bothers me with this entire case is she made it home. I think that is the most important aspect of this case with Dana Smithers is she made it home. When we saw her walk out of her friend's house on that Ring doorbell camera with her cell phone in hand, and then to find out that her cell phone is at the home with her keys, her purse, and her wallet, it doesn't give you a good feeling, almost like something bad happened. It probably did. But it seems like it's a little more closer to her than some stranger named Bryan Kohberger. That's just my opinion. Just wondered about Bryan. Yeah. And I know just Samantha did as well. But in all fairness, do I believe he did something previously? I do. I do. Let me go ahead and pull this up because we're going to change. Not that one. Here we go. Now, I'm not going to be able to look at your comments on this. So this has been coming up. This has come up on, let me make sure that we can see it. Yeah, you guys can see it. Okay. This has been coming up a lot. What am I talking about? People have really been looking at the trends on Google. There's a place where you can go to Google Trends and you can check the search criteria as to, we did it for Maddie Mogan, Xander Kernodle, where we were able to identify there was a massive amount of research on a few of the victims' names days before they were murdered. And we're also seeing, because somebody else has chosen to also look at the trends related to Bryan Kohberger, it seems like there was a huge amount where it is believed that Bryan Kohberger was searching the terms Bryan Kohberger stabbing, where he Googled himself 56 times in May of 2019. Now, we're also going to pop over here and share this one as well, where he searched his name, Bryan Kohberger suspect, 84 times in April 2019 from Hawaii. What do we know about Bryan Kohberger? What do we know about Bryan Kohberger? We know that he traveled across, everybody's looking in and around his area for possible suspects. But what do we know about Bryan Kohberger's behavior? His MO, so if you will. We know he likes knives. We know he likes beautiful 20-somethings. And we know he likes to murder by stabbing. What else do we know? We also know he travels a great deal far away to commit these heinous acts, i.e., Washington State, which I said from the very beginning, I believe he traveled to that state to carry out this act. Then we find out he searched himself while being in Hawaii 84 times as to whether he is a suspect of a crime. I think if we're looking for crimes that Bryan Kohberger carried out, stabbings or otherwise, I don't think it's in and around his area. Why? Because he exhibits that he moves himself many, many thousands of miles away from his homestead in order to carry out these crimes. So my belief would be it's time to check Hawaii. It's time to check Hawaii and their database and where Bryan Kohberger may have been staying and traveling in Hawaii in between the 2019 time frame. And this looks like he was looking in December. Looks like we got stuff 84 times right at the end of 2020. Hawaii, past 5 years, search Bryan Kohberger. So if he went to Hawaii and he was searching himself as a suspect and searching his name related to stabbing, I would think that would be a good indicator where law enforcement needs to be looking and reviewing cases. So that would be my suggestion. I do believe that Dana Smithers was not, because after the autopsy, they said it was undetermined as a cause of death for Dana Smithers. I can tell you that I have been around murder long enough to know that knives leave wounds on bones. So you would have seen some type of indication on the bone from the knife wound. They would have etching, actual chips in the bones missing. There would be some kind of indicator that a knife type weapon, straight blade, jagged blade, puncture like an ice pick, would have been used in this matter because of the clear patterns it would leave on the bones. So when I hear that this was, they have no idea that it came back inconclusive. They can't determine her cause of death. That is pretty interesting to me, where it makes me want to think that maybe, and check this out, guys, because of the past drug history and the fact that her sister never indicated what type of drugs was her liking. We don't know if she snuck back there just to use, and she had a hot pack, or used too much. And we don't know if there was anything that was around her that could have indicated that. Was she fully clothed? Was she naked? Those things are very indicative of how she got there. Did somebody put her there? Could it have been her ex-boyfriend she hung out with, or her ex-husband she hung out with all day that day? Could it be she was meeting somebody to perform something? We don't know. I don't want to put those images in people's minds, but because we're talking about this and people don't understand why Bryan Kohberger's parents would have to go to a grand jury, I think it's because this particular case has garnered so much national attention because of its connection or potential connection to Bryan Kohberger, that they're also the stuff about this case is getting out, and it's not factual. And I think that because it's not factual and people are pointing the finger at alarming numbers that this is Bryan Kohberger's work, that they're bringing the parents in to exclude him, because it's my understanding that Bryan Kohberger has an airtight alibi for the time surrounding Dana's disappearance. So I do want to bring up that, yeah, I understand there are some things going on here, and I do believe that Bryan Kohberger has committed crimes in the past. I think this is another place where we're just looking in the wrong area for it. And if we look at the work that Eve Nerdy Addict, and all them have done, especially with the Google Trends, it does seem like there's this uptick in searches in the Hawaii area. And apparently, I didn't know Bryan Kohberger went to Hawaii, but we're learning that it is potential, allegedly, that he went to Hawaii when these searches were made. And if that's the case, Hawaii would probably be the state that I would be looking at to see if Bryan Kohberger did anything. If he went to other, family trips and other areas away from his home, I would also be eager into learning about the crime that happened in and around the time that he visited those areas as well. But it seems like whatever happened in and around his home, he didn't mess with it. It doesn't seem like he didn't pee in his own backyard, so to speak, it seems. I'm a little confused. So Google shows that the search of his name took place from the state of Hawaii. That's what's being alleged. Here, let me pull this up. That's what's definitely being alleged. Let me get back over to that page. This is Eva's Nerdbird Mafia. Breaking again. My anonymous source tells me that Bryan Kohberger Googled himself 84 times from Hawaii in April 2019. That is what we're hearing. Now, again, anonymous source. We can't take that as true, but in all fairness, receipts were provided, not just stated. So the what was provided is this right here, where it shows that April 2019, there was a search, and the search term is Bryan Kohberger suspect. 84 times in April 2019. And then when you go to the second attachment, hopefully you guys can see it. I can't see it over there. Oh, maybe it's down here. You can see that it's on the islands of Hawaii. So do I know for a fact whether Bryan Kohberger was truly in Hawaii or not? I really don't know, just Samantha. I'm not going to allege that. I'm just putting out the information of research that was done from other people. I'm interested to find out, did Bryan Kohberger go to Hawaii in 2019? Now, if he did, I'd be looking in Hawaii for somebody that's been injured, hurt, or otherwise. Pebble says, I agree. I think he did have some type of help. I'm not sure if he had help. I'm not sure I try to put myself into that mentality. It's something you really never can do. I mean, unless you're that kind of person, you're never going to get into their brain. But I keep trying to think about it. And I just am the type of person that wouldn't trust anyone. If that was my kind of fetish or liking or fantasy or something like that, I'm not sure that I would trust anybody with that. I mean, that's like ultra private information about you. And and he doesn't seem like the person that was the open book. Like he wouldn't want anybody to know who he really is. I would think that the grand jury PA, if anything, would be requesting how he acted when he returned home. Sometimes it's the simple answer. And I would agree with you about that. In the absence of law enforcement coming out and saying Bryan Kohberger had nothing to do with this, many people didn't listen to law enforcement the first time and went down a bunch of rabbit holes related to all these other people, and come to find out everything that law enforcement was telling us related to who they were excluding and who they had cleared was true and accurate. And while they did not tell us the full truth about the time that they believed that these kids were actually murdered, they tried to say an hour earlier, again, throwing the suspect off, knowing the suspect was watching. They alleged a different type of white Elantra and played the game of, oh, we didn't realize there was other body styles. I call BS on that statement. But I think it was the cat and mouse game that they were playing to try to search out who was responsible for this. But in this particular case, though, I just truly believe that we need to take law enforcement's word and them saying that Bryan is not responsible for this. I believe he's responsible for something, but I want him to be held accountable for the something he did, not allegedly did. And I think we're all wanting to find him because we all feel in our gut that there was other crimes he may have committed. And I feel that maybe potentially that some of us just want to point the finger and put blame on something for him. But this case, at least the Dana Smithers case, there's a lot of other possibilities here. Now, she made it home. That is her comfort. Who was at her home? Was her ex-boyfriend or ex-husband still there? Something happened to her. But whatever happened to her, she left her keys, her wallet, her phone. So that means that she was back home. She made it back home safely when she left her best friend's house. So from the time she got into the comfort of her home, But then it always brings me back to that page 118. Remember that in the evidence, they had that book, and they said there was a lot of highlighting on page 118. And we went and looked up the book. I can't remember the name off the top of my head right now, and went to 118. And remember some of the stuff we were reading off that? Remember how they said it was related to an organized killer and an unorganized killer? And they stated that usually an organized killer would take the victim with them to throw the investigation off. And I was like, well, then why did he leave the victims all in that house? And then it dawned on me that maybe he wanted to take the victim with him, but was not expecting Kaylee to be in that room, and was not expecting Xana and Ethan to still be awake. And it may very well be that Maddie was the target, and Kaylee, Ethan, and Xana were just, unnecessary casualties of the event, at the wrong place at the wrong time. Kaylee wasn't even living there anymore. She wasn't even living there. She was just happened to visit her friends for the last one shindig before she went overseas and then started her job in Texas. That was it. It was her last big hoorah, right? So I don't know. I just, you never know with a killer like this. I mean, because they're so elusive and they were under the radar for so long, we never knew about it. How long has this man been like this? We definitely know that there was major behavioral changes when he was a young kid going from junior to senior year. He had this massive weight loss. Did he do something during that time? Are we not going back far enough? Good question, Allie. I don't know. I mean, this whole Hawaii thing is new news to me. I never heard about this. So I wanted to go back to this. Let's look at this. I think this will be very interesting. I'm fast forwarding it. And if you back it up, let me see if I can back it up just a tad. Look at Bryan Kohberger's face. Like, he is nervous. I actually have, hold on a second. I actually have a photo. I enlarged it. Hold on, let me send it to myself. Let me send this one. Okay, hold on a second. Let me see if I can, I don't know if I can present it or not. See if I can do a slide from your computer, upload. Download. Give me just, there it is. It won't let me put it in here. Dad burn it. All right, let me open it up and then I'll share that screen. I guess that's going to be the best way to do it. Hold on a second. And then we'll get back to the video. Let me see if I can find how to present this page, and then we'll have to get back. All right, let me get the screen up. Screen, entire screen. There we go. So I want you guys to look at this. I'm gonna have to push this over to. There it is. Can you guys see that? Look at his face. Like, his face, like his face is like just. He's nervous. Can you guys see that? I can't tell if you guys. Yeah, you guys could see that. He's nervous. Look at that. Like his, and I can't remember if this was the first time that he was pulled over or the second time. I need to look at the video. The problem is I can't find the video for the first, or I can only find this one. I had both of them. I ordered both of them, but for whatever reason they expire, so I can't re-download it. I got to reorder it. Honestly, for this particular situation, but we do have this one. Let me go ahead and put it back up.
What's the state police got your license and registration with you? I stopped you, man, when you were driving by me there. You're a little too close to the back of that semi. About one car between you and the back of this trailer. We're about one car going 10 miles an hour, so we're going 60 or 70 miles an hour. We're about 6 or 7 cars.
And what we learned from this is many people, we were told up front that this particular event was initiated by the FBI. Remember that the FBI had been trailing him. We learned from the Dateline. Now, again, this is from anonymous sources close to the investigation, so we don't know whether it's true or not true. You know, I have to put that disclaimer with this particular case because I can't even trust mainstream media anymore to get the information out. In my opinion, if I got pulled over for that BS, I would look like that too. Yes and no. If it's the first time he's being pulled over, I mean, granted, he got pulled over twice in 9 minutes. Obviously, his now that we know that or at least allegedly that the FBI wasn't behind that, they weren't even following him yet or anything like that, which I really don't necessarily believe that to be 100% true, because we know his name was brought up and identified on November 29th. In the early morning hours of November 29th, 2022, just a couple weeks shy, 13 days from the time of the murder to the time his name was developed in the matter. It was about 13th and it was the 29th, so 16 days, 15 to 16 days. So just a little over a 2-week time frame when his name was brought up. But they said that they weren't following him at this time, that this was kind of a narcotics type of sting. Anybody that had erratic driving, let's rephrase that again. Anybody was pulled over that had erratic driving. So he was pulled over 2 times in 9 minutes. I would have to say that his driving was an alarming concern for law enforcement. Now that we know the FBI wasn't behind this, and it was just the Idaho State Police doing this narcotics type of sting on their interstates to make sure people weren't trafficking, people, places, or things. I don't know how to say that, right? I think he was mad at his dad, like, shut up. But yes, of course he was, because he's got some stuff that his dad was leaking. His dad was telling this officer how close in proximity that he was to these victims, all this stuff going on. And yeah, so he would be nervous. But his face looks angry. It doesn't look. It looks angry. He looks angry. Let's go back to that. Missed it. Try to do it frame by frame. We'll see if it does. He looks, I don't know, angry. Let's listen.
Belongs to state police got your license and registration with you. I stopped you, man, when you were driving by me there. You're a little too close to the back of that semi. About one car between you and the back of this trailer. We're about one car.
So he was traveling entirely too close to other vehicles. He was having erratic driving. He was having a nervous type of driving on the interstates, and there's a reason for that. Most likely because he knew he was guilty of this crime. You guys know he went out of his way to make it home. He did not take the shortest way to get home. He went this long, drawn-out way that added over 200 miles to his travels and over 5 hours of traveling time. His behavior was odd. From the time he was at Washington State University to the time he made it home, and his family was a little concerned that he was walking around with all these latex gloves on. And I got to find it funny. His father was in the car with him, and he did not have latex gloves on driving the car. But as soon as he gets to their house, he starts wearing latex gloves, and his family isn't doesn't think anything odd about that behavior. So I do believe that the family did think there was some odd behavior. Who were the family members that went out and searched his car? We know at least one of them was one of his sisters. We know that. But who was the other one? Was it his mother? Was it his other sister? Did they have a bunch of family over? Was it cousins and otherwise? FBI said they lost him on the way to Pennsylvania. Then they said they wasn't following him yet. So again, Ellie tells different things. Good point, Wild Cherry. Good point. And we also said we're not listening 100%. We're going to corroborate everything law enforcement tells us. But with Smithers, I think there's more here on the bone than Bryan Kohberger. And I think that he was just brought into close proximity because he was in close proximity with her, and he's accused of killing these 4 beautiful souls out in, Idaho, that it's easy to try to point the finger at him. But we also want the right person responsible for Dana Smithers. Now, again, we have no information. We don't know if she died naturally out there. We don't know if she was clothed out there. We don't know if she willingly walked out there. And by the time they found out where she was, we don't know if they even got Ring doorbell cameras or otherwise. That car is filthy. Yes, it is filthy. And probably the reason why he had to clean it with bleach as soon as he made it back to Pennsylvania. Just a thought. Let's keep listening.
So we're going 60 or 70 miles an hour. We're about 6 or 7 cars. Oh, you guys did?
Yeah, and we're sitting at so
You guys stopped by a trooper? We don't have any SUVs. It was a county guy. Was it like a black SUV?
yeah.
Okay, all right.
That's
all right.
where he's talking about this being his second stop. So this is the second stop. He was talking about him just being stopped by somebody else. So Karen Isabel Stewart, thank you for your super sticker. Lisa McKay, loving my 50th birthday week, enjoy a glass of bubbly on me. You're giving me your birthday present? Just joking. Lisa, happy birthday from our family to yours. It's nice to see you. That's great. The sooner he gets to PA, the sooner he could wash the car. Again, it just doesn't, his behaviors don't make sense. These are a lot of the reasons why I truly believe scrubbing away in PA. Yes. Hand in the cookie jar look to me. That is exactly the look that I was thinking. Yes, Pat. DMC says, to be fair, I have all white vehicles. He's coming in from Idaho, where at this time there was snow, salt, etc. on the road. Oh yeah, and I know for a fact how filthy my car gets traveling. So yeah, nobody's saying that his car is filthy, but I doubt he cleaned his car prior to him heading to Pennsylvania. And once he got to Pennsylvania, he felt comfortable enough to scrub his car with bleach. And he's got dark interior. Let's look at that interior of his car. I'm pretty sure it's dark interior. And I don't know anybody stupid enough to clean a car with bleach. Look how dark his interior is. He's got black to gray seats, black interior. So it's like a smoky interior with smoky gray to black seats. And he's using bleach, literally bleach. Like nobody in their right mind would ever risk their vehicle to put bleach in it. Out of all the cleaning supplies that are out there to clean your vehicle, bleach is not recommended for a dark interior. What if he spilt bleach on the rug, the carpet? He would have splatters and spots all over it. He might, right? The FBI probably analyzed the dirt from his car so they could match it to the force, but they wouldn't have, because unless they got that, they got those samples prior to him cleaning the car. I don't know if they could get those samples unless they were up under his up under his tire wells or something of that nature. And I doubt he cleaned that there, because even up under the tire wells, unless you take those wells completely out, there's ways for mud and stuff to get up there. How do I know? Because I had a fight with it. You guys know I just changed out my headlights on my car not too long ago. And I don't know if you guys know this, but when I was in Delaware, Ohio at an event, my car got stuck in the mud, like stuck. They had to bring a tractor, like a farm tractor, to pull me out. like I was worried the front end of the car was going to come off. It was so sunk, right? When they pulled it out, but it didn't. God bless them. God bless them for saving me. But that mud was still in the tire wells, up inside the tire wells when I had to pull back the tire well plastic to get up there to unhook the light, the headlight. There was a whole bunch of stuff behind that tire, that rubber plastic tire well that's inside, that's above your tire. So I do know that it does get in there. Dark or light, it's bleach. You don't clean bleach in a car. Yeah, no, I get it. Yeah. That's the one thing that just, it doesn't make sense. And anybody in their right mind knows that. Anybody literally knows that. So it's just, let's see if he says anything else.
You got stopped by a trooper? We don't have any SUVs. It was a county guy. Was it like a black SUV?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. You thought you guys were following too closely? Okay.
What happened at WSU when my son goes to school shooting?
Today? Well, I'm not going to give you guys a particular warning if you just got stopped. Just make sure you give yourself plenty of room, okay?
So he's telling him, like, this is the second time you're stopped. Well, maybe you need to back up off the vehicles and give yourself plenty of room, right? Because it seems like he's being stopped because of the way he's driving and things of that nature. So it's just odd. Also, so I have been kind of hammering away. Can you see this? Is it even up? Hold on, let me put it back to the stream. So I have been hammering away at public record requests from Pullman, Washington, especially around Bryan Kohberger's application to work there, to apply to volunteer there. And they have been very resistant to provide me any details on this whole application process. And it's been a tug and pull, so to speak, very extensive tug and pull. Let me go back if I can. So here is my request. I asked for all, here it is. I asked for all applications, interview notes, letter of acceptance, letter of denial, and or emails of or other form of communication logs related to the same video, audio, other tangible or intangible items in your possession, custody, and control related to the employment and or volunteer position and or capacity related to Bryan Kohberger from the time frame of 01/2022 to 12/31/2022. And they did not really want to provide me the updates on that. They actually denied my request. Let me get back to it. Okay, they actually denied my request to provide the public records. And I don't think, we even have more in here that I didn't even realize were in here. I only checked out the first section. Look at all these documents. I've only got up to right here, and they've provided additional reviews, and I have to go through all of this as well. Look at all that information they've given me related to that. But they didn't want to give it to me at first. They really didn't. They actually provided me a letter of denial saying that, this is private information. This is private information, and that they don't disclose this type of stuff. And I said, well, look, I was very polite. Let me see if I can find the email. Hold on a second. I'll find the email to them, to Pullman, and I'll read it to you. Okay. Okay, here it is. Let me go back to the original one. I think it's this one here. And it says this letter pursuant to the this letter is written pursuant to the provisions of Washington State Public Records Act, chapter. Let me see if I can I put this up. I think I can put this up. Let me put this up real quick. I'm gonna put this. Make sure I'm not divulging any information on here. I don't think I am. Sure. Okay, no. So let me get back over here. So it basically states that your request was received, any applications, blah, 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 blah. They tell me that this request, the intern application, is exempt from release under RCW 42.56, blah, blah, blah. And so my response was, to whom it may concern, thank you so much for your response. However, there are some documents related to this request that I'm entitled to fall under public record disclosure that your office is denying access to because I asked for the application and other things related to the interview process. In my opinion, there are certain communications within your office that are still responsive to this request that are up for public consumption. And I would like to review the documents individually to confirm any and all documents in your possession, custody, or control related to Bryan Kohberger and or his volunteer position. The public is entitled to the information related to this request. So I'm also requesting any and all documents in paper and digital format related to anything and any contact. It is well established that there was contact between your department and Bryan Kohberger's, and to date, your office has not provided me one tangible or intangible document in physical or digital format. Please review my request again, because I believe there's something that can be provided under the law. So we are definitely very, very respectful in this respect, but we also know what our rights are and what we're entitled to under the law. So, I've challenged their request, their denial. And you just saw the amount of overwhelming documents I received directly as a result of that particular pursuit for information. And now we have a good working contact of information here. And of course, I bring up, a lot of the emails back and forth related to it. It appears that they only had about four or five people that applied for this position. We know that Bryan Kohberger was one of those. It only went to a certain amount of documents. And as we were talking here, that actually enlarged. It looked like they added more to that request. And I was none the wiser that they added those. So I haven't had an opportunity to review all the documents, and don't want to just be willy-nilly throwing them up on our channel. But we do have a lot of documents in our possession, custody, and control related to at least the application process of Bryan Kohberger. And those just came in to me by email, I believe this morning. Yes, this morning at 1:13 a.m. And 1:13 a.m. this morning is when we received that overwhelming amount of documents. So I will be reviewing those documents and getting those out to you, as well as explaining them to you. If anything comes up, I'm definitely going to be, because we missed about 3 days of lives while my aunt was in town, we are going to be doing a live later today. I'm also going to be, as we're building up our other channel, which is Crime Stories with Betty. If one of my mods want to drop that down, please consider going over there and subbing up. I am going to start working on that channel there to start getting that built up. So we'll have 2 monetized channels for the Bullhorn Betty conglomerate, so to speak, right? And I'm probably going to be doing another morning live over on that channel. as well as afternoon lives. We're going to be kicking those up, as many of you, I promised you when we started getting closer to the end of the year, we'll start opening up 2 lives when I'm home, one in the morning and one in the afternoon. So we're always up to date on the information. I haven't quite pulled the trigger to do that yet, but we do now have two channels, and we need to build the other channel up as well. We're also going to be, before the end of the year, we're going to have a bullhornbetty.com. Not quite sure how that is going to look by the end of the year, but that's going to be almost a newspaper with a more up-to-date information, and it's going to have, it's going to have a lot. It's going to have a lot, and it's going to give you an opportunity to answer. If you guys do have a lead or a case that's in your area that you think is very interesting, you guys will have an opportunity to fill out a form and provide me cases as well. So that would be, it's going to be very interesting. We're not, I haven't quite got there yet. I have a, I have a vision, just trying to get it all executed. And while I have an amazing team, I want to make sure, and Justin for all is part of that amazing team. We collaborate when we can. We talk. We always try to inform and keep information free flowing. And, we have a great team here, a great team, not just the subs, not just the members, but the mods and the other creators that really try to get to the bottom of these cases. And Justice for All is one of those people. So if you guys, I know everybody knows Justice. I miss him. I miss him. I want to hug him. I want to pinch his damn cheek. Right? That's my boy. That's my boy. Right? Even though he wears his makeup better than me. I'm so jealous. I have to be honest. At least I own it, right? I'm not one of those people that say, oh, he's so horrible. He's so horrible. Oh my God, have you seen his makeup? Holy crap. That is jealousy. I own my jealousy I need to go get some lessons, right? I love you, Justin. And not only that, but I got to tell you, my mom and I were cracking up when we saw you doing, driving Miss Daisy. Oh my God, that whole booty. Oh yeah. Well, that's because I took time this morning. You guys hadn't seen me in a week, and I'm like, I'm not coming out here all cranky panties and all stuffy bottom. I'm gonna get my face on. I'm gonna fake it until I make it, right? Because it's been very difficult. This whole vaping thing has been very, very difficult for me. But I know once it's done, it's done. Once it's over, it's over. And I'm just ready for it to be over. Oh, Lord, I'm just ready, So I actually had all this stuff I was going to go over with you. It wasn't really anything like too significant. But it is this, and this is going back to the stuff that I wanted to go through as far as the addressing of the Dana Smithers death and Pennsylvania and everything like that. Like if you look at the timeline for Bryan Kohberger, if you look at it, like he could have been responsible for Dana Smithers. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. Like he is in the area at the time. She disappears. It was in the Poconos. She was in the Poconos. There was some kind of street event going on in the area at the time. So him being submerged and being around people and being able to hide in plain sight would be perfect in this situation. Like this could absolutely, without anything, this you absolutely could without anything, look at Bryan and say, he was there. He lived in close proximity. Absolutely do literally whatever. I mean, seriously, like he could have. If you look at that timeline, he was at home. He had just literally the day before or a day or two before her disappearance, he just graduated to Sales University. He was in the area. He was absolutely in the area. So it's it's hard not to want to lean that Bryan is responsible for this lady. It really is. It's hard not to think that he could be responsible for this. But at the end of the day, law enforcement is saying no. They're saying that the reason why that they needed the parents to come to the grand jury is to basically say, hey, our son has a airtight alibi. He doesn't need to be there. Even some of our talking heads on mainstream media question that. Are like, wait a minute, if he has such an airtight alibi, why do they need the parents' testimony in this matter? And we know that it's the grand jury. So grand juries aren't convened to decide whether a person's been murdered or not. That's not how it works. A grand jury is typically whenever you have somebody missing and you think somebody has done it and you need to get an arrest warrant for that person, you typically go to the grand jury and try to indict the person. So Bryan Kohberger's parents there, that means that they have an idea or a suspect in mind that they're trying to get that grand jury to indict. And it doesn't sound like it's Bryan Kohberger. I mean, they're talking about a grand jury. What are grand juries convened for? They have very limited purpose. So is it the boyfriend? Is her boyfriend, is her ex-boyfriend, the man that she was around all day that day, is he responsible? Were they going to get an indictment against her ex-boyfriend? And because they wanted to close the worry box about it being Bryan Kohberger, they had to bring his parents in to testify about his whereabouts and his airtight alibi so they can indict the right person. I mean, let's think about the grand jury. Is the grand jury there to tell us whether this person was murdered or whether this person died of natural causes? No. That is for the coroner. That is for the medical personnel that did the autopsy. So what's the purpose of the grand jury? My understanding is the grand jury brings back a true bill and indicts. A grand jury was convened on Donna Smithers' case. Who was the grand jury pointing at? To me, it doesn't sound like it's pointing at Bryan Kohberger. There's another person they're trying to indict in this matter. That's what I'm believing. Let me do a poll. We're about to do a poll. All right, guys, poll has been submitted. It's going to ask the audience. We have 315 people in our chat right now. If you guys could all take that poll, even the haters that are here just to stir problems, you can at least be part of the commentary here. So go take the poll. What is your opinion? We'd like to have everybody's opinion on the poll. 314 people. The poll asks, who do you think the grand jury was for? 1, Bryan Kohberger, or 2, somebody else? Hey, Bullhorn Betty. I'm stuck with this ridiculous name. LOL. Sorry about that. That's okay. You know what? Every time you pop in here, you give me something else to talk about, because then I start thinking about all the stuff Papa Rogers wrote over the last few months. And you always give us a topic of discussion. So even that. To Brett Payne. Oh, stop it. Brett Payne had nothing to do with this. Brett Payne is, oops, I didn't mean to do that, is an arrogant officer. He's pompous. You can tell by the way he carries himself. His stuff don't stink. You could take a lot. I don't know. I have this amazing ability to be able to peg people. I don't know what it is. I think it's because I've been around so many different personalities. I've been submerged into an elitist lifestyle down to the Skid Row lifestyle. I've seen just about every walk of life. I've had opportunities to interview. You know what? Actually, let me tell you the story. So I had an opportunity. It was when I want to say 19 or 20. And I interviewed a lady, and interviewed a lady in a hotel room. And she was a worker, one of the streetwalkers, workers. And she was on some really heavy substances that you can imagine. It's not the form, it's more of the form, right? And so I was asking her about her, what brought her to this lifestyle, what got you doing this. I come to find out this lady had 3 different PhD degrees. She was one of the smartest people that at this point I had ever met or came across. She was an attorney. And I can't remember what else, but she had this amazing, and it was, she showed me, she still, I think she carried a little piece of her life with her because she was on the streets, but she always had the important stuff with her. That's why that little bit of stuff that they're carrying is the last of the last, but it has their life in that bag. And they keep very limited stuff of their life. But this lady, she literally was one of those people that could have had the most, like, living in the big fancy house on the water, driving that Mercedes Benz, and here she is on the streets selling herself for her next fix. And it's sad, and that's the reality of it. Like, it's the reality of it. And so I always, when I hear those things coming up in stories where I hear of these past addictions, I've struggled with my own. I know how easily it is that you can relapse. You can be fine one day and be on a deathbed the next day. I watched it in my recovery. I've watched several people that I called friends that were partners with me in my recovery that had their relapse, and they could never recover from the relapse. The relapse killed them. And so you hear about this stuff. And the reason why I'm saying that is because we know that there was this issue that did plague potentially in Dana's life. And then you talk about what, for me, what did all that kind of lifestyle bring? It brought really nasty people in my life, people that wanted to cause me harm and did harm me. So is it really unreasonable to think that this other guy she was hanging out with earlier that day, that she had a kid with, that was her ex, that they've had some kind of emotional attachment? Is it too far to think that maybe he could have had something to do with this disappearance? So it's bad, and I just don't think that this particular case got Bryan Kohberger's fingerprints on it. I totally get how she feels. I was going to school to be a nurse, and is an esthetician. I can't pronounce it until I kept losing more vision. Was born legally blind, but progressively getting worse. Then tried law. Now I'm disabled. Oh, that sucks. Yeah. Vision is so important. I remember when we were younger, we got into a really bad car accident, and they told us that had my parents been up 2 inches, I mean, just think about this much more, my parents would have been dead, both of them. It was very scary for me. There was nothing left on the car. So from the windshield on, there was nothing left. The whole front of the car was sitting next to the car. This lady was trying to get her young child to her ballet recital that she was driving an ungodly speed and ran a red light and almost killed my family. And that was my first experience with shock, because I was so confused, didn't know what was going on, and my hands were just violently shaking like this, and there was no controlling it. There was literally no controlling it at all. But I don't really remember a whole lot of that day, and I think it had to do a lot with the shock. But I do remember little bits and things, especially with the hands, because I remember them saying that they thought I was going into shock because I just couldn't, my whole body was just shaking uncontrollably, and I just couldn't stop, and I couldn't speak, and I was just dead stare with my whole body trembling. So there are things that can affect your ability. But getting back to Dana Smithers, those are the reasons why I think we need to just kind of step back from the case and really put our vision on this case and look at the true details of this case. I think once you start seeing the true details of this case, I think the light bulb will go off, as it did for me, as to why I don't think Bryan Kohberger is responsible for this. I'm glad we were able to bring awareness to Dana Smithers' case. I really do think it did help locate her much quicker once we all started setting our eyes on this Dana Smithers case. That's when she was located. That's when she was found. That's when we started hearing about her autopsies. That's when we realized it was confirmed to be her. And then this whole thing starts. But again, I am convinced that if she was killed by a knife, then that would have been indicative on her bones. They would have been able to clearly see those chippings that are always so identified as knife wounds, knife chipping, or a sharp blade object of some sort, you know, penetrating that body. And so I think that in lack of that, they were unable. I mean, that they would have been able, if they saw that chipping on the bone, then it would have been very um, it would have been very noticeable early on that she died from if she had blunt force trauma, she would have had shattering of her bones. So they would have been able to identify that. It would still have been able to identify that she was murdered. They're saying that the autopsy came back inconclusive, that they can't determine, undetermined, they can't determine her cause of death. So that's a problem for me as well, you know, and also with that whole they can't prove the cause of death, leads me to believe that there that she may not have been murdered, that she may have willingly went to this area because of information that we have. We have to look at that. I'm not saying that that happened, and I'm not saying that she was murdered. And I'm not saying she wasn't murdered. I'm saying that at this point we don't have enough information to garner one way or another, let alone to point a finger at anybody to say, "Hey, they did it." I do believe that Bryan Kohberger has committed crimes prior to this quadruple homicide. I just don't know where those crimes were committed. We're seeing these trends that show he searched for himself at specific times. I would identify those specific times and the location he was at when he was making those searches. And those would be the areas that I would be identifying and looking into for missing people, people that match his MO, the stabbing, the 20 something, the young, the beautiful, the popular, that disappeared, that never made it home, that went out. Those are the types of people that we need to be looking for in those areas that Bryan was at the times of those searches. Those may be a great indicator where the victims may be potentially. But again, I'm not really all into the whole DNA. A lot of people are into all of the DNA evidence and things of that nature. I truly believe we've been processing crime scenes and convicting people long before DNA was ever even invented or known, and we can do it in the absence of it as well. Sometimes DNA, in my opinion, and I've seen it personally, has caused problems with the jury and the understanding of DNA, and actually hindered investigations or hindered the prosecution of certain people because they introduced the explanation of what DNA is, and because the analytical portion of the jury wanted to know more and could not understand it or explained it. It has hindered prosecution of these very criminals. So I'm looking for me personally, I'm looking for something other than DNA evidence to convict people in addition to. So I'm not one of those jurors that would be all or none with the DNA. I'm one of those jurors that look at all, because I have a good understanding to know that direct evidence and indirect evidence are treated equally in a trial. It doesn't matter whether it's circumstantial evidence or somebody witnessed you pulling the trigger. It's treated the same in the eyes of the law and in the eyes of the juror. So circumstantial evidence for me is very empowering and very powerful and very overwhelming in some of these cases, more so overwhelming and powerful than mere DNA evidence. And I've said that on this show multiple times. Many of you guys heard me where I said this DNA evidence doesn't make it or break this case for me, that this is just literally one sprinkle out of many on top of that ice cream. Just one sprinkle that I explained that the ice cream itself is the forensic digital evidence. That is the star of the show. It's not Dylan Mortenson's testimony. It's not Bryan's behavior. It's not the DNA. It's where he was, where he's been, where he was going. It is all that digital stuff that they're going to be pulling from his car, the digital stuff that they got from his computer, the digital stuff that they got from his phone, the pings from the cell towers, all of this stuff. That's the star of the show. That is going to be what convicts Bryan Kohberger of this crime. That DNA, if they removed it tomorrow, it wouldn't move the needle on this case one iota, in my opinion. Not one iota. Remove the sheath. They still have a pretty darn good case against Bryan Kohberger. Take the DNA away. We never heard it. We never saw it. We don't know about the sheath. The sheath wasn't there. Does it change the facts? Nope. Not for me. Not for me. But I still believe, for whatever reason, that sheath was intentional. Everybody keeps saying it was accidentally left there. Accidentally. I believe this man was meticulous and calculated, and that would have been the one thing that he would not even have laid it down. He would have stuck it in his back pocket. He There's a piece of, he was wearing those Dickie black pants. I know that because they produced the receipt to show what he was wearing. And I absolutely 100% believe that sheath was laid there. Otherwise, he would never even have cross-contaminated that sheath. He knew better than to even lay it on their bed, because there would have been transfer evidence from their bed on that sheath, which he would have then took with him and out of that house. So I'm sorry. I believe it was there intentionally. I don't know why. It's just this gut gnawing feeling. I'm absolutely sure he was driving that car. I don't believe there was a second person in that car. And the reason why I know he was driving that car, because it comes down to the star of the show, the forensic data, which puts him and his phone in that car. So absolutely. Based on what they've sent, I mean, pending, in all fairness, Judge, pending, new information to come forward, my position is, yeah, he was in that car, and he was in that car alone. And I believe that because he had no friends. He had nobody out there. I mean, everybody thought, all the people that he oversaw at that thing, I mean, outside of the one girl that allegedly asked him for help, they believe that he did all that himself. Come to find out, it was his workmate, not his neighbor, because I'm like, wait a minute. That was the one thing I didn't understand. They were trying to say that his coworker, or one of the TAs in his Wilson Short Hall had a break-in. He suggested cameras. They tried to say he concocted it, that she was close enough. Who was that? Because I talked to 2 of the 3 neighbors. I mean, there were 6 people there, and we talked to the person across the hall from him. We talked to the lady downstairs, and I saw the guy on the bottom floor to the side of him, and he's like, no, I don't really want to have any comment. So definitely not a woman. The only one that was a woman was the Asian lady that was right below him with the kids. So it was very unclear to me in that Dateline episode, because he was saying that it was a coworker of his at the Wilson Short Hall, but he had access to her Wi-Fi because she was in such close proximity to him, like as if she lived next to him at the Steptoe Village Apartments. And I'm like, wait a minute, who is this coworker of his? Because I talked to just about everybody there. I mean, with the exception of the very 2 people on the very top, I talked to everybody in his building. So where did this lady come from that he works with? So that didn't make sense to me. That's convoluted. I don't think that girl that he talked to about getting security cameras, I really don't believe that she was living near in close proximity to his apartment. I could be very, very wrong. We don't know who she is. But I talked to the people in that building, and there was no single female that lived near him in that building, in building G, that I could identify. So that's odd. It seems like it was just the coworker from work. And, we do have that whole entire IDs in a glove, in a box hidden inside his family home. Was one of those IDs hers? Was she really the intended victim? Was there another intended victim? Because I know he went out there to carry this act out, and I said and maintained that I just don't think he knew who his victims were yet until he got there. But if he was that determined to carry a fixed blade knife from Pennsylvania to Wazoo, is it really that difficult to believe that he did something like this before? This is scary to me, to think he was in Hawaii searching his name for stabbing and whether he was a suspect in a crime. That is scary to me. It makes me feel like there is a victim out there that hasn't been either identified, or the person responsible for their murder hasn't been identified. And that's scary for me. Anyways, guys, I appreciate your time. I'm going to review these documents later today, this afternoon, probably around 2 or 3 o'clock this afternoon. We're going to go over that record response from the city of Pullman and all the documents that they provided. I thought it was only a limited number, but as we were sitting here going through it, it looks like there was an overwhelming amount of documents that they did finally produce to me. So I want to go ahead and review those documents and see if there's anything in them that we can pull some information from, or utilize in any way, shape, or form. It might be just a whole bunch of nothing. And there might be, I think there's 2 IDs. Yeah, that's what I heard, Kathy Baker, but it didn't specify on the evidence log sheet. It just said IDs in glove in box. And that was all that. It didn't even show the location where the box with the, IDs in the glove were. We just heard from anonymous sources on the Dateline episode that it wasn't, we've heard so many anonymous sources so close to this investigation. We have 2 different information. We have Ashley Banfield with News Nation saying that her law enforcement source close to the investigation said that they found IDs that belonged to the victims. And then we have Keith Morrison with Dateline saying, sources close to the investigation said, yeah, they found IDs, but they weren't related to the victims. So we, again, have conflicting confidential sources close to the investigation giving different information and different answers depending on what reporter they're talking to. So now you know why we don't like confidential sources, because they're lies. That's a way. Now, granted, there are some in places where confidential sources are, political stuff and things like that. This stuff here, nobody's talking. Who's talking? The prosecution isn't talking. The law enforcement, it's pulling teeth to even get them to say even one of the victims' names. Unless you're going to the FBI, which maybe the FBI, we've already heard enough about the FBI and all the problems they're having by going outside of their rules and regulations to spark investigations and stuff like that. I mean, does it really surprise us if it was the FBI that's leaking this information? Probably not. Probably not. But I don't think it is. I don't think it's the FBI. I think it's these people going through here and they're just like, if they think it must be true. And they can run with it. Because who's going to tell them otherwise? Who can possibly challenge the information that they're spewing out in light of a gag order restriction and nobody talking? Like, right? I could say right here, From my anonymous source, I found out that Bryan Kohberger has killed 15 people. 15 people across this country. Law enforcement knows that they did this, that he did this. Law enforcement knows that he has killed people in all these states, and they are just keeping it hush hush and under wraps until after, right? Because my anonymous source close to the investigation told me that. Right? Who can confirm or deny my allegations? Who? Who can confirm them? Nobody. If I literally wanted to come up here and lie to my audience about anything for a click and a view, right now would be the great time to strike. Because who the heck's going to be able to confirm or deny any of the information I'm getting? Nobody. Nobody. It is. And for the father not to put heads or tails, these are parents that are in full denial. I mean, let's be honest. When we look into these cases and we hear about serial killers, we find out that it's usually a very, very messed up family dynamic that has put family dynamic filled with abuse that has created these serial killers. We're not hearing that in this case. We're hearing, I mean, even from his childhood friend that no longer talks to him, stated to us that, his parents were some of the nicest people in the whole world. They don't deserve him doing this to them again. That's what his friend told me and Olivia. Right? Told me and Olivia. And I keep thinking there had to have been something going on behind closed doors that none of us are wiser of. How do they have this family, and then you hear the leanings of the mom and Ted Bundy, right? It just gives you that weird feeling of weirdness. I don't know how to describe it. I don't like it to feel like that. But this family there's something off. I'm sorry. The parents can be nice all they want in public and to friends and everything. But to me, there's something off in this family, and I can't put my hands on it. I can't say it's this or it's that, but there's something odd. There's something really, really odd. From the father's teeth rotting out of his mouth to the fact that they had all this, bankruptcies, and they're living in this nice house that appears to be nice, but really is run down from what I hear and not well maintained. And you just hear all these different things, and it's like, there's something more going on here, and I just can't put my hand on it. But everybody's like, all these parents, they don't deserve this. I feel sorry for Bryan, and I do. I feel sorry for Bryan Kohberger's family, not just his parents, but his family. The stuff that his sisters had to go through, the loss of jobs. I mean, they didn't like. I have no problem with Bryan Kohberger losing his job, just like I have no problem with Don Wells losing his job, right? But when you have family that did nothing wrong losing their job over something, it's a little sad. It's not something that I agree with or subscribe to at all. But anyways, those are my thoughts. We're going to keep diving into this. We definitely are getting finally some record requests that are coming in, and some meaty record requests that are coming in. I mean, we're not just getting it took me a little bit to work with the city of Pullman to finally get them to release something to me, but I didn't accept their first initial response and challenged them on their first initial response and expanded my search. So far, they've been gracious enough to provide me the information, and I did tell them, in all honesty, I'm really sorry that this is going on, and you and your officers and your community is being put through this, and I just really appreciate your professionalism in this matter. And I just really think that was beneficial, So the poll, the poll is: people think the grand jury was for Bryan Kohberger. 67, so 2 times, so 2/3 of my audience believe Bryan Kohberger, the grand jury was for him, and 32% is somebody else. And that was a poll of 136 votes. Thank you for all that voted. I didn't put my vote in on the poll, but I would be for the someone else. I don't think this was this is not this case doesn't feel like a Bryan Kohberger case. Outside of the close proximity to him, nothing else in this case is making me feel that Bryan Kohberger is responsible. And then hearing a law enforcement coming out and saying, hey guys, he's just not it. They're looking, they want to find it. They want to find out whether he hurt somebody else or not. Trust me. I think law enforcement truly wants to be able to say, yeah, here's more of his victims, just so they can close those cases, but they need to do it the right way. But I do believe that law enforcement is trying to truly follow Bryan Kohberger to see if he's hurt anybody else. I really, really, really believe that. I just don't think Dana's the one. I think there is one. I just think that it's much further away. We got to think Bryan Kohberger went all the way to Washington State to commit this act. So seeing Eva Zanurdi talking about Hawaii, that would be in the proximity that I would think that he would commit a crime in. It sure would. If he's been in Hawaii, we need to be calling out to Hawaii officials and saying, hey, look, Bryan Kohberger was in your area. And not only was he in your area, he was searching his name to see if his name was brought up in any stabbings or any crimes. If he was a suspect in anything while he was in your jurisdiction. Is there anything that matches this MO? Seriously, that's what needs to happen. Did he hurt somebody in Hawaii? I'd like to know. I just don't think Dana Smithers is his. I think I think this was somebody closer to her. This is somebody that was more familiar with that area. If she died by homicide, that's even in question because she was only 200 yards away from her home in this kind of wooded area. And when you hear that she's had some type of past, you wonder, is this her little area that she found to use in? So she kept it away from her family so they didn't know. That's possible. It's possible. I've seen people do it. Trust me. I've seen a lot. And that's not uncommon for me. So I don't know. I don't know. I'm definitely keeping my eye on this. If it's Bryan Kohberger, we're definitely going to be screaming it from the top of the mountains that it was Bryan that's responsible for this. I'm just not making that connection. I believe law enforcement is being truthful with us, so much so, right? The caveat, at least on the identification of Bryan not being responsible. Everything else, all the fine details, yeah, if we want to take them with a grain of salt, then yeah, I think we at this point can do that and do that without feeling guilty because we have been duped by law enforcement in these areas related to Bryan Kohberger in the past. So we're definitely aware that it will happen again. And so we're very skeptical of that. And that's why we have to dive in just a little bit deeper and a little bit harder and a little bit longer and a little bit more so we can confirm what law enforcement is saying because we have to do that now. We can no longer trust law enforcement related to the Bryan Kohberger case because they duped us, right? They duped us for a good reason, but they duped us. So anyways, guys, go make your TGIF a great day. We're going to be back here at 2. I promise at 2 we'll be here. I'm not going to down the thing because I've got a lot of paperwork that I've got to go through, and I definitely will want to talk about that later. So make sure that you're back here. I don't know if I'm going to do it on this, though. This is the main page, and we are covering Bryan Kohberger. I'll do it on here, but I've got some other stuff that's going to be released on the Crime Stories channel. So if you guys are not over there yet, you will want to be. You will want to be because I am going to start building up that. We may even do a couple coffee clubs over there. So if you guys love the coffee clubs, sign up. I'll see you guys later today. So go make it a great day. Don't forget to be fearless. If you see something, say something because an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And until next time, please be safe and kind to one another. God bless you.
As you wake up in the morning, you want to find the latest, greatest information about criminal cases and have an intuitive conversation about the suspects associated with these cases. Head over to the Bullhorn Betty channel on YouTube. Get breaking news right here on the Bullhorn Betty channel. Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty Coffee Club. Enjoy your stay and enjoy your day.